Hey everybody, I'm John. I collect cards. Hope you're all doing well. It is Friday, February 14th. It's Valentine's Day. And coincidentally enough, I got in the mail today from FedEx actually a card that, in long story short, it's a card that I love. I love a lot of my cards. I love probably all of my cards, I guess you could say. We all do, right? For the most part. We probably love most of our cards. This one, though, is a special one, and I can't wait to show it to you here. I'm going to turn the phone around and do just that, and then I'll talk a little bit about how it kind of came to be. All right, hang on just a sec. Well, I've made my pickup of the year for 2025 already. As it turns out, sometimes timing is everything. Sometimes, luck will have it. Throw whatever cliche you want out there. But my gold card for 2025 is here. It's on this table, this 30-year-old table, or however old this thing is. I probably got this table in the 90s. I know I got this table in the 1990s. It's an IKEA table from way back when, but it serves its purpose now. And right now, it is holding this card up. My 1940. I can't believe I'm saying my 1940 play ball Joe DiMaggio card number one. And it's in an SGC 2.5. And to me, it just looks beautiful. Looks awesome. Hard to believe I'm holding it. And I'm just super duper excited to add it to the collection. So I'm going to bring it up close. And I'll show it to you here. So the biggest issue of the card is this area here. This is paper loss. I'm almost certain that's paper loss and not like, tape residue. I'm pretty sure it's paper loss. But to me, it barely detracts anything from the card whatsoever. It's like such a minor distraction to me. Like when I saw the card, the listing for the card, which I'll get into shortly. I was more drawn to this, wondering exactly to what extent this little, creasing or wrinkle was all about. But I just knew I had to at least give it a shot in the auction. And then seeing it in hand, it's not as bad as, or really like all that a big a deal. I mean, just having the card first and foremost is, I'm super excited. I feel kind of privileged about it, to be honest. But anyway, it's like a little bend or a warp or a wrinkle. It's not. No, it's not a warp. I guess it's a crease. I guess it's a crease, but it's not really breaking. It's not breaking the paper. So yeah, that's the front. Let me show you the back. The back's got edge issue up there. Some minor staining, I'd say. It's an old card. Here's a crease down here. There, but I mean, gosh, the back overall is in pretty nice shape too. It's card number one. If this thing was had rubber bands around it, it's probably what this is all about. If I had to be honest, maybe a kid slid rubber bands up their stack of cards and took some paper off. Maybe I don't know, but it's also a little bit more of a sepia tone. So it's got that toning to it versus maybe a little more toward black and white. So maybe the color is a bit, maybe a minor strike against it. But man, look at that card. I can't believe I have it. So I won this in a heritage auction. It was the Winter Sports Card Catalog auction on January 31st. And actually, that night I was a guest on John 3D80's Kids live stream as auction lots were closing. And so I'll dive into the story a little bit, how I kind of got this. A few months back, maybe 2-3 months prior, John did an auction live stream. Might have been an REA auction close. I can't remember the actual auction house it was, but I followed along for a while, and I was really drawn into that. I thought it was really a really fun live stream to track auctions across kind of the site that night on big cards, or maybe cards that they had their eyes on that maybe were a couple notches down from, say, like, the biggest of the biggest, maybe the 4-figure cards versus the 5 or 6-figure cards. But they were kind of cruising around everything for a good like hour and a half. This is a few months back. And I only caught a little bit of it live, but I went back to it the next day and watched the whole thing, or just about the whole thing. And I thought it was just great. And I reached out to John and basically said, this is a really cool idea for a live stream. It kind of, for some reason, the early 80s, late 70s kid in me almost likened it to NFL Today with Brent Musburger saying at the pregame show, you were looking live at such and such stadium. It was like you were looking live at the Mickey Mantle 54 Bowman auction or whatever they were looking at. It was cool how they were bouncing from one card to the next as the bids were wrapping up. It was just fun. So I reached out to him saying, gosh, if you do this again, I'd love to, if you're up for having me on for a bit, I'd love to join and talk auctions and cards for a while, through the lens of an auction closing. And he was cool with that. And so thanks, John, again for having me on. I got a link in the Read More description to that video. We were joined by Rick Vintage Oddball Cards. And oh my gosh, who was our fourth? I'm spacing out. Oh gosh, none other than Petty. Mike Petty joined us as well. And we just had a fun time talking cards and auction lots. And Mike won something really awesome. I won't give it away what it is, so check it out. And John won something amazing as well. So Rick, I don't believe, had an auction going that night, if I remember right. I don't think he actually had a bid going on. He may have, but I don't think he did. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he didn't win anything that night. We just had a great time. But basically, I was kind of in the lead up to that Friday night when we were on. I was thinking, okay, let me check out the auction and sort of, track a bunch of lots and see which ones I want to sort of pay attention to, and maybe bring up on the stream that, let's see how they're doing, because it's just an interesting lot, or I just think the card's really cool. And normally this is one of their, premier auctions. And usually I'm not paying that much attention to Heritage's premier auctions, because usually they're, kind of they're beyond my budget. They're not the cards that I'm kind of really going for, or, have the opportunity to go for. My wheelhouse with Heritage has been, since I've started buying off of auction house platforms in the last year plus, has been Heritage's Sunday night weekly auctions, where they have maybe 200 to 300 lots, and they're more mid-grade to poor kind of condition, but really nice vintage selection. And so I've been able to, I think, have some nice finds and pickups from that. And so that's been kind of what I tend to go for. And I never really looked through their big ones that much, other than maybe a cursory glance. But I dove into this one knowing I was going to be on, and I saw this card on there, and I had mentioned, a couple of times on my channel, and just, for, I don't know, I'd say ever since probably the National last summer, I decided right around after that, I kind of decided that I settled on this card being my goal card for this year. And so I was starting to save for it, and ironically enough, and I'm kind of talking a little bit long about this, and I'm going to try to wrap this up pretty soon here, but thanks for watching. If you are, I'll turn it back again for a bit. Thank you for following along. So, kind of putting away some cash here and there, and ironically enough, the stashing of cash, you would think it'd be easier to spend if you have cash, but it's kind of ironic how it's harder to spend cash now. If you think about it, it's so easy to just hit click and PayPal and all that jazz. It's harder to spend your cash. So I was building a cash stash to try to get this card. And in terms of a final auction price for this, you can watch John's video, or I'll give you the lot number for this. Again, it was for the Heritage Winter Sports Cards catalog auction. It ended January 31st, and also there were a bunch of lots that ended on February 1st. This one was on Jan 31. The auction lot number for this DiMaggio was 57661. 57661 if you want to find out what the winning bid was for this. And it's also on VCP, which you can find. Although, interestingly enough, on VCP, they list the date of purchase for this on January 25th. which is kind of strange because I won it on the 31st. But interestingly enough, they also listed another card that sold on eBay the same night as this one for more than what I paid for this one, which is to me pretty interesting. Overall, before I realized that sale, I thought I got a decent. I actually think I got this for a decent price, like right kind of in the right what kind of you'd expect and where they've been going lately. And I mean, gosh, beyond that, just it was, long story short, it was in my budget. Got a little sooner than I expected. So that cash, the following Monday went to the bank, and got to play it right. That cash was meant for this card. And also the batch of cards that I just consigned to DC Sports 87, which, I hope nets a few $100. I'm thinking if $300 to $400, if I net that, I'll be happy, to be honest. That was going toward this as well. So as soon as that plays out, I got to be good. That's got to go right to the same account that went for this. And if it doesn't make it whole in terms of between the cash stash and that, it'll come very close, actually, probably within 100 or 200 at the most. So this worked out. I'm just, again, super happy about it. And I'm going to actually put up 2 other cards here alongside it here. I'll just have a pair of cards. So now my 40 DiMaggio play ball kind of will be next to his teammate Red Ruffing from the same set in my kind of vintage stash. So I picked this one up at the National last year in Cleveland. Got it graded. Came out of 3. But it's kind of cool to see them together, to be honest. So I got those 2 cards kind of together, and then also in the old vintage drawer, gosh, I'll have both of these together. So I just picked up the Burke Ross 51 in the fall, and that was a heck of a lucky find on eBay that I got raw and graded, and that was just overall a success. Sometimes eBay success stories happen, and you know what? A heritage success story happened for this one. If I wasn't going to go on John's feed, I wouldn't have done a deep dive into that winter premier auction, and I might not have seen this card. It's very possible I would not have even actually seen this card, because if I didn't really investigate what was there that night. So in that regard, John, thanks very much again for the invitation to join. Had a really, really fun time a couple weeks ago. And yeah, so we'll just wrap that up. Thanks for watching, everybody. And gosh, I guess I'll have to do another video in a couple of weeks. I'll kind of revisit goals for the rest of the year. I have some ideas in terms of 1 or 2 cards that I really want to focus on in terms of, aiming to pick up. I've actually made another what I think is a nice purchase. I just made another Heritage Sunday weekly auction purchase this past Sunday, and I'll probably get the card. It's a 2-card lot, and I've talked about those small lots before, and this was one I had to follow up on. So I've probably maxed out my February budget already, for sure. But I'm looking forward to showing those too when I get them, probably in a week or so. But anyway, thanks again, everybody, for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. And if you haven't and would consider that, I'd be really grateful. I'm actually closing in on 1,000, which is pretty cool. Kind of hard to believe. I'm right knocking on the door there. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend, and I will catch you on the next video. And gosh, let's get to the present day. I can't believe spring training is here. Loving that. Cannot wait for those first even spring training games to get going in about a week. So, all right, take care.